Here on site in Kansas City, Missouri, we're doing a startup and training on an HP20T4. The objective today is to give the end user and the customer a comfort level on all systems that relate to this machine. The reason we're doing this morning, it's very important for the customer to understand some of the new systems that are on this machine. A lot of our customers have experience in pumping, however, they're used to an older or more archaic machine. Today, what we're going to do is make sure the crew is clear and comfortable on how to operate this machine correctly. This is our water box. The sticker says important, check water level daily. This is a key part of operation of this machine every day. A lot of customers use either coolant and water, or hydraulic oil as a lubricant for the water box. It looks like they have antifreeze and oil in there. I recommend hydraulic oil, but antifreeze is okay also. Remember, the next morning, whoever's operating must fill it again. Now, the reason I recommend oil is because you can do oil and only change it about every 2 weeks. With water and antifreeze, it's every day. Every day. Because if you bring it back to the shop, say a guy puts water and he forgot antifreeze, what's gonna happen overnight? You got a block of ice in there, right? Oil won't freeze, and it's always there, right? As long as you remember to do it every 2 weeks, it's very important. Yeah. Let's go over some of the controls on the box. We'll start here with the tachometer. We'll move over here to your LCD control panel. We'll move down to your operation joystick. This is forward, neutral, and reverse positions. Engine RPM, emergency stop, and ignition. Okay, so this is a proportional joystick. What does that mean? That means it detents to neutral. Pull out the plunger and put it up into forward for forward. Pull out the plunger and put it down for reverse. Right here is your volume control. As you move this joystick in forward, the further you move it, the further our green line's going to go up. As you can see, we're limited to 40% output because we are in cold limited right now. Next, we're going to go to the page. Page simply means you hit this button underneath and it'll give you the readout of everything that's going on. Milliamps of the proximity switches going to your main cylinders and your shifting cylinders, hydraulic temperature, hydraulic PSI. Coolant temp, oil pressure, system voltage, engine RPM, and then back to home screen. Next, we have the reset yards button right to the left of page. To reset your yards counted from the stroke counter, you simply hold this button in, and once it hits 0, let it be. It'll reset to 0. Next function is pump and gauge. As you can see, there's a green square around that when we're able to pump. If you hit it again, it'll tell you pump switch off, and you won't be able to put your pump in forward or reverse. Okay, our next function, last but not least, is radio control. If your machine comes with a transmitter and responder, what you'll do to enable your transmitter and responder and operate via radio remote, simply hit that button. It'll tell you radio switch on. You can now operate from the radio remote. A good way to know if your pump is ready to go is simply listed right here. It says pumping disabled. You must depress the pump and gauge button for the machine to tell you it's okay to pump. All right, let's go over some of the features of the tach. Starting on the left, coolant temperature of the engine, 111. Voltage for our battery. This is our engine RPM. This is our fuel. Hydraulic oil temperature. Hour meter. Another nice feature of this pump is if you do happen to lose electronics, you can finish up your job and clean out the machine with your manual functions. Here is where we have RAM 1, RAM 2, and the S tube. You can manually function this machine to get it cleaned out, either finish your job and get it cleaned out, or just to do a proper washout and find out what's wrong with the machine. We're going to discuss emergency stops. This is a crucial part of operation of this piece of equipment. This machine has 3 e-stops, one on the main control panel and one on either side of the hopper. Oftentimes we'll get calls from customers saying hydraulics won't engage and they can't get the machine to operate. Usually it's because somebody has depressed this button and they haven't done a walk around just to make sure all the e-stops are out. Another important part of the emergency stop circuit is the hopper grate switch. This is tied into your e-stop. So if you're pumping and somebody decides to lift up this grate, it'll break contact on this switch, and it's the same thing as depressing an emergency stop. The machine will shut down and it'll cut off all hydraulics for safety reasons. You also have a 5th e-stop, which is on your radio remote. If you're ever operating with the transmitter and you get into trouble, simply hit the red button and it'll shut all hydraulics to the machine down. The next thing is this. A lot of times when a ready mix driver is empty, he'll either hit his horn, toot toot, to let you know that the truck is empty, but sometimes he'll get out and hit this or this. These emergency stops kill hydraulics. This emergency stop kills the engine and hydraulics. Earlier we spoke about the importance of daily maintenance with the Waterbox. Just as important is grease. Grease is your friend and it's cheap. It'll save you on wear parts in the long run. Highly recommend that a daily grease be done. I prefer seeing grease in the morning as the machine's warming up and stroking, and I prefer to see it greased in the afternoon after washout's complete. While slowly stroking the machine, apply grease to all the zerks behind the hopper and in front at your outlet. As you can see, Ramon is putting the clamps on the reducers right now. It's much easier to put the bottom side of the clamp on and flip the half moon around so you have leverage on top rather than fighting the clamp from the bottom. I'd like to take a moment to go over the transmitter for our radio remote system. All right, to start our transmitter, we're going to pull the e-stop up, hit the power button once and then twice. We're going to hold it the second time till it beeps green. Then we have our antenna on the upper left-hand corner showing us we're ready to use the radio remote system. All right, this morning it's a little chilly here in Kansas City, so what we're going to do is we've checked engine oil. We know we're at the right level. We're going to fire up the machine and we're going to stroke the pump slowly in reverse to warm the hydraulic oil. See where it says cold limited? It's going to limit you until the hydraulic oil hits 100 degrees. So what I'm going to do, I'm just letting it kind of warm up a little bit since it was very cold when we started.
So
then
how much time it takes?
10, 15 minutes.
15 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Then I'll slowly hit some RPMs. I just like it to get warmed up a little before I engage hydraulics. See where it says page? You can hit this button. It'll tell you your hydraulic oil temp. So we'll leave it on this screen and we'll watch it as it warms up. So what I was doing, since it's brand new, right? Never stroked concrete. All I'm doing is manually moving the cylinders. Mira, ram number 1. See? Ram number 2. ES tube. As you can see, we're in cold limited. That's why the S tube is shifting so slow. When in cold limited, which means the oil is less than 100 degrees Fahrenheit, this machine's max output is 40%. Once the oil is heated up, the machine will stroke at full volume. So right now what we're doing is our preliminary checks. We've got the engine running, engine oil check. Hydraulic oil is heating up by running the machine in reverse. I also know I have nice fresh seals. I've got good suction running in reverse here on the outlet. So when you see cold limited, your guys might call you, say you're not on the job yet, and they're like, hey, we got the pump all warmed up, concrete's here, but it's barely pumping. Does it say cold limited? If it does, you gotta heat it up. When you prime, do you dump it in the hopper and then throw it ahead? Because I do it a little bit different. I'll tell you what I do. You gotta prime the hose. And after I started dumping primer right in the hose and just chasing concrete, I didn't plug anymore. Used to be I'd plug 50% of the time. You got to reverse it, break the hoses down. If you prime the hose, you won't plug. You ready? Okay, one helpful tip. Between trucks, what we did was we idled the machine down and killed the motor. The reason we did that is if you leave the engine at idle, it can separate your mix in the hopper. What I mean by that is all your cream will rise to the top, all your stone and sand will fall to the bottom. When you go to engage the pump and forward again, 9 times out of 10, you're gonna have a plug. All right, we just finished up pumping our concrete. The last truck is cleaned out and left. We're in the clean out process. First thing we did was reverse the machine to take the pressure out of the line. By reversing the machine, it lets the pressure in the line dissipate back in the hopper and go away. That way it's safe for them to bust the lines down. Now what I want to do is open up the door on the bottom of the hopper. Yep, hit it towards me. You got to use your foot. Yep. There you go. Okay, can you dump some water down this this pipe? I start the machine and I'm going to run it in reverse. We're washing out the hopper and the reducers. We put the ball in the hoses. We're getting ready to hook back up and clean out all the hoses with a sponge ball and water behind it. So, we're all cleaned up. We've run the rabbit through the hoses or the sponge ball through the hoses. We've cleaned all the reducers. We've accounted for all our clamps and gaskets. We went a step further and we took the bolts out and opened the hinged hopper to make sure our material cylinders and our S-tube were thoroughly cleaned. We also did a visual inspection to make sure no parts were damaged while we pumped. Now here's what we want to do while it's open. You see how we still have some residual dirt in there? You want to blast that out with the water hose, clean that real good. And what I was talking about earlier, if you suck up a piece of rebar while you're pumping and you don't see it, these are anti-chip rings right here. They can get all boogered up and tore up and prevent your S-tube from shifting correctly. That's why it's nice to visually inspect this. And they can also grease it real easy with the hopper open after they're finished. Now you'll get guys calling that don't open this, and what happened, the buildup goes between it and they're like, hey, it's squirting grout out from that's because you guys haven't been washing it out. Right.
Hi, Grant Caffrey, Midwest Masonry, at a job site here in Kansas City. We just purchased a new EZG hog pump and tested it out for the first time today here with Brian. Showed us the ropes, delivered it, came and showed us how it works, and it worked fantastic. Just like all their products, we run all their mixers, grout hogs, braces, the whole line's built for masonry. Not always the easiest on stuff, and it holds up well.
Thank you everybody for watching our videos today. Hopefully they were helpful. If you have any more questions, please go to our website at ezgmfg.com. We're always happy to help.